Welcome to the Go Big Redcast with Dave, Honke, Boomer, and Redcast Rob.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast Rapid Reaction Edition. This is your host, Honke, and I'm with Redcast Rob.
Sorry, technical difficulties. I've been using my dad's computer here, and it makes me feel like I'm about 80 years old, so I guess that's right. But I guess you could say that there are just as many technicals going on with this computer as there was against the Huskers to start the second half there today.
Yeah, I mean, we're down to 3 right now, and that kind of felt like where we were going to be if the refs kept having their way there. We're also with a good friend of the Redcast, David McGee. You can follow him on Twitter at DPM917. Welcome to the Redcast, David.
What's up, guys? Good to be here. Kind of fun to talk about a fun thing for basketball for a change.
Yeah, and this is our first, really, I think, our first Nebrasketball segment of the year. We didn't do one once things started kind of going downhill back in November and December, really right out of the gates. We just never really got around to it, and it got to a point where it was like, well, it's not worth talking about. But guess what? We have something worth talking about right now.
Yeah,
I mean, if we were sitting here 7 days ago at this very moment, the season was done, right? I mean, the most recent news at that point was that Trev was keeping Fred around. People had a lot of questions about that. Why would you do it? And here we are 7 days later on a 3-game away winning streak, blowing out Penn State, going to a ranked Ohio State and dominating that game from start to finish, having the lead the entire time, getting that first win against a ranked opponent in the Hoiberg era. And then today, to pull off the trifecta, to go to Wisconsin and to beat the 5 Badgers on the field and the court and the 3 umps or refs in the calling it was insane. But Dave, I want to get your thoughts here, just kind of get started. I mean, what are your thoughts right now on how this season finished up here?
Well, I know I've said it a couple of different places now, but this is the team we were expecting to see in November and December, and it's just really, I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings as to why it took so long to get to this point. So I'm trying to enjoy the moment and enjoy beating Wisconsin and sending Brad Davison out on a losing note. And anytime you get to stick it to Wisconsin, it's never a bad thing. But I think just there's a lot of questions for me as to why it took almost 4 months to figure out how to play high quality basketball. So hopefully that carries over into next year, and whatever pieces come back can carry that over into next year, because we're seeing now some of that potential that we thought we were going to see all season long.
Mm-hmm. Rob?
Well, the fact that they did this today without Bryce McGowens, right? And then essentially without Trey McGowens the entire second half.
Yep.
And Alonzo Verge, he was in foul trouble for essentially almost the entire second half as well. And he still managed to have 26 points. I mean, they did everything they could in this game today to take the advantage away from Nebraska. I think at one point they went on like a 27-6 run against Nebraska. And I don't know what it is about Big Ten ref. I mean, find me. I don't care. But but they are now 3-1 since they extended confidence in Hoiberg and his system. And it almost seems like we're going to just start calling it #Trev effect. Okay. Because it seems like the attitude in the room, whether it be with the players, the coaches, the fans, everything, as soon as Trev Alberts does something positive towards a program, that program starts to win. At least that's the view I'm getting. So, and Honke's smiling like, I'm making this up, but it really does. It almost seems like the second that he expressed, because even the first game that they lost, and I can't recall, I'll have to look at my schedule real quick, but the first game that they lost against Iowa, that game, they lost by 10, but that game was closer than that the entire time, right? Like that wasn't like a blowout by Iowa. And so I think that the players started to see, like, maybe this system is the system we're going to need to be working with the next few years. We better get it together now if we want to play next year, because not a lot of these guys are going to the NBA. And these guys know that this is where their scholarship is. So it's either transfer or get with the program, no pun intended. And I think all of a sudden they started playing Hoiberg basketball. They started knocking down their shots, but not just knocking them down, but knocking down open shots created through passing, right? And it's been fantastic. This has been the basketball I expected to see in the preseason.
So Dave, this is a question, I guess, and this gets into some of the X's and O's of the team. Is that, why all of a sudden, what is going on different in the last 3 games, the last 7 days than we saw those first 4 months? I know we've been told that it's all about hitting the threes. If we can just hit the threes, this is what this offense will look like. But we saw in the first half here, I think at one point we were like 2 of 9 from the three, or 1 of 8, something like that. We weren't hitting threes today necessarily, certainly early. But it's the points in the paint. It's how we're getting in there, and then plus the defense. I mean, is it as simple as that, or what is the difference on the court right now? Why we're starting to see these W's?
Well, I think before today, hitting shots was a big part of it. I think that's legit. I think too, I've seen an increase in defensive intensity and rebounding. So you're not seeing as many. You're seeing some, but not as many like crazy offensive rebounds, or like possessions where you have 4 or 5 attempts by a team. We saw that routinely throughout the season where a team would just get offensive rebound after offensive rebound. And I could go back and look and see kind of what those numbers look like the last couple of weeks. But it seems just anecdotally that the defense, the rebounding, and just the general overall intensity has increased over the past couple of weeks specifically. And so to me, I'm not a coach. I don't have a ton of X's and O's of expertise there, but from my untrained eye, that's what I see. I just see them playing harder and executing in some of those details that were lacking to start the season, which was driving everybody crazy. So that's what I see. But
well, and that's something I think over the course of the last 3 games, the toughness that this team has had, because at each point, we started with a tweet that we sent out maybe 10 minutes left of the Penn State game, where it's like, I think we're going to win this. I don't think we're going to, even though we had the lead, we were blowing them out, right? But I don't think we're going to just lose this. I don't think we're going to just somehow give it up like we have in some of the earlier games this year where we would have leads at times. Then we go and we play Ohio State. And again, we're up by 10 points, but then inevitably they make their run and it's like, oh, well, this is where we're going to Nebraska it. But it was like, no, it felt like we had some control over it. Today's game starts with the news 15 minutes before, at least this is when I saw it, 15 minutes before that. Oh yeah, by the way, Bryce isn't playing. And immediately it's like, oh, geez, that's, what do you do? This is, okay, now we don't have our 5-star freshman, lottery pick kind of player that's been just destroying it, the last few games. So we're going to be in trouble, right? And then you get into the game and you have some of the foul issues that were going on, some of the reffing issues there, I'll call it. But, Trey gets kicked out of the game for the second half, and then they go on the run that you talked about. But this team, this toughness that just all of a sudden just kind of came out of nowhere. It seems like we didn't have some of that toughness for months. I don't know. This is so hard to do one of these shows. We've been wanting to do a rapid reaction for football or for basketball or what for so long. And we finally get to do one right now. I'm so pumped. I'm so excited by it, but I'm also so confused because I did not expect this ever to happen with this team. And again, I'm talking as recent as 1 week ago right now.
Sorry, the mute button on here wants to just keep turning itself on and off. I'd say the biggest travesty here is that, we all don't get to put on CU Boulder shirts and storm the court like they would do for just beating a top 25 team, right? Like, I'm pretty sure they would storm the court for beating a top 26 team or 27 team or, at this point with their program, any team. But, it's good that they're doing this on the road. Because that's the hardest place to win. I think they're set up really nice to win in the first round of the Big Ten tournament here against Penn State. They just beat Penn State, blew them out recently. And then sorry, my daughter's coming in. That's the awkward part of some of these rapid reactions, right? And and it's just been fantastic basketball to watch. But I think too. I mean, they also get a rematch if they beat Penn State. They get a rematch with Ohio State, who they just beat as well, and we know the formula for that. And we'll actually have McGowan's back hopefully for that. So this is my daughter Vivian. Everyone say hi.
Hey, Vivian.
No, I'm sorry. She goes by Hunky, and we
Oh,
have
she does.
Hunky too. So
Hey, Hunky.
yeah. So I'll put it back on mute in case she talks, but this has been fantastic.
Well, Dave, to Rob's point there, that's 3 straight wins, but they're all on the road, right? I mean,
Yeah.
which is amazing that it's been on the road.
Yeah.
But it's also, there's a part of me where it's like, I have felt for all the home, season ticket holding fans that we have and the loyal ones. And you've been right up there at the top. A mutual friend of ours also, he was, I believe in Tim and I believe in Fred. He changed his name a number of times, but a buddy of ours, Beller, and he's one of those guys right up there too. I asked him if he could be on it and he couldn't be on this one with us today. We put this together really quick, but I feel for you guys that the home fans didn't get to see these 3 wins.
Yeah.
What does this season feel like as we're kind of getting to the end of the regular season right now? What does it felt like as a home fan? You've been there, you've been going to PBA and, supporting the team as well as any program. Where are you at right now, I guess, in your mind?
I'm all over the place, I think. I think, I when Coach Hoiberg was hired, what, 3 years ago now, it was like the sure thing. There were no questions. There was no doubt that he would win. And so I think to see, obviously, to see the first 3 years go the way they have, 2 7-win seasons and now basically flirting with doing that again until this last week. It was just so confusing. I think it was just confusing why this didn't work. Like it was supposed to be our moment, our golden ticket, so to speak. And so I think just, if we look back at this season, it's a lot of disappointment, obviously. I would have loved to have been able to experience beating Ohio State or Wisconsin or any of those, anybody at home, and so like I think on some levels, as we reflect, as we get further away from this season, and into April and May, like I think this would be one of the most annoying seasons ever. To get a taste of how good we thought this team could be early in October against Colorado, and then to have it flip almost seemingly overnight and lose to Western Illinois and look so lackluster for so long, lose so many close games. I'm thinking North Carolina State and then Michigan, Auburn, and maybe Auburn's the best team in the country now, or I haven't looked at their record in a while. I know they were number 1 for a while. I think just to sit and watch all of that spiral, and then Trey get hurt and everything go from there. I think we'll look back and say like this was like the most annoying season I can think of in a long time. And so my hope is just that that whatever happened a week and a half ago before the Iowa game, because I think they started playing better against Iowa. Whatever happened in that time frame, if that switch flips and they can carry it over to next year, like that'll be great. Like I think we'll look back on and say like they just had to go through whatever they had to go through to get to this point, and it kind of sucked to live through it. But if we just get back to kind of a lackluster season next year, if that's what we get next winter, then I think there's going to be a lot of. There's not going to be any choice. So I think a lot of it's just like, okay, well, this is now the bar. What we've seen this last 3 weeks is what we're going to expect next. Well, this is fall.
It's certainly what we expected when we hired Hoiberg. You expected to win big games against big time opponents like this,
right?
And all the records that the bad records that were over the first 3 seasons, the 3 20+ loss years, which we had never had, I guess, a 20 loss season prior to Hoiberg. Now we have 3 of them. Okay, let's look forward now. Let's look ahead because looking back is painful in some regards, especially as well as we're playing right now. Let's look ahead in 2 levels. Let's look ahead short term. I mean, we're talking the next week, what can happen, and then let's look ahead next season and to the future here. I guess looking towards next week, obviously we're hoping that we're going to get Bryce back and be healthy and be back at full strength going into, well, it would be Wednesday that we'll be playing then, I guess. We'll be either the 14 or 13 seed. I think we still have to find out what Minnesota does today.
Yeah.
So that would, I guess, obviously determine who we're going to be playing then in the first round. But getting Bryce back, getting healthy, full strength, how do you see this team right now going into next week? I've seen a number of people from other fan bases saying they don't want to play Nebraska right now. Where do you see us, starting off in the Big Ten tournament, Dave?
Well, I mean, I think, Rob mentioned a little bit ago, like the way they're playing right now, I like their chances in that first game. And I don't know who we would play after that. I have not looked at a bracket beyond that, but the further you get, it's really, really hard to win 5 games in 5 days. Like that's just really, it's unlikely. But we saw a couple of years ago in Coach Miles's last season, them get on a hot streak in the Big Ten tournament. I think that's possible. I wouldn't be stunned the way they're playing right now if they won a couple of games. I guess I'd almost expect them to win on Wednesday the way they're playing right now, which I didn't think I would say a week ago. So I would say, just go in, have fun, and enjoy playing basketball and see what happens. If you can get to Friday, that sounds.
Yeah.
I don't think that's out of the question to get to Friday. I would not expect them to get any farther. And it's not crazy to think that they could lose on Wednesday either. Like there's still a 20-loss team. Like it's not. Let's not forget that. But I don't know. I would say Friday is their ceiling.
Friday's ceiling. I'm looking at it right now. If Minnesota loses today, Nebraska would be the 13 seed.
Right.
We'd be playing Northwestern at 6 p.m.
I wouldn't mind another
on
shot
Wednesday. If Minnesota wins, we would be the 14 seed. We'd be playing Penn State at 8:30 on BTN. And then on Thursday, again, kind of depending on who is who.
Yeah.
If we were playing Northwestern, then on Thursday we would be playing. Good grief! This gets into the whole that what I'm looking at doesn't have it in bracket format. It's kind of hard to.
Okay.
Basically, right now we're either playing Northwestern or Penn State. And to your point, I feel pretty confident about how this team can play right now. But to your point, nothing would shock me either. We can go out there and not play a good game, and all of a sudden the game just season just ends in a thud. But I would say leave it to Nebrasketball to there's no dull moments, right? Literally, there are people. If you want to talk about apathy, I talked with people that were apathetic. I didn't even know we were playing tonight. They just kind of gave up. And by the way, I'm throwing myself in that category.
Me too.
And then all of a sudden it's like they just suck you back in. And dude, this is a team that I had no emotional connection to them at all. And in 3 games, I feel like I know who the team is now. Rob, are you on right now? So,
I am.
So, how the season roller coaster wise? Have you been up and down? Have you been following it evenly the whole way, or have they just pretty much got your attention now here in the last 7 days too?
I'm not going to say that I'm a Husker bandwagon basketball fan, but I've been watching this team. I've been pretty big. I've been an Arizona basketball fan since like 1986. And Husker basketball has never really caught my attention much, but with one of the things that I've been watching the last couple seasons, I've just been, it's been more for me for an emotional roller coaster. I've watched every game this season, and I've been more frustrated than anything. So, because you can see the style that they're trying to play, you could see them for a while get away from that style. I'll even admit that Redcast Dave was right. I wanted them running the ball through Walker a whole bunch, right? But obviously they just don't have the size on their team to match up with a lot of these Big Ten centers. But, Walker was the closest thing to it. And then, now they're finally getting away from it. And there's even points where they're dumping the ball into Walker, and he is using what size he has to get his way to the basket, or at least draw in a couple defenders to be able to kick it out to a guy who's open on the outside and, hit that big shot, because that's the Hoiberg offense, right? And It has. It's been a roller coaster, to answer your question, Honky, and I never really gave up on him because there was nothing that ever gave me a sense of hope, to be honest. So it wasn't like giving up. It was just consistently watching, watching the games and just kind of trying to understand what was going on. I mean, Kobe Webster. I mean, where is that kid come? Or no, I'm sorry, C.J. Wilcher lately. I mean, that guy's just been hitting threes lights out lately, right? And even Webster has been pretty consistent. And when he came up to the line at the end of the game, I mean, last year or the year before, if the Huskers had the game on the line with 2 free throws to just kind of either put the game away or at least give them a chance to have it tied to go to overtime, I would have probably turned the TV off and walked away. But I knew he was going to hit both those free throws. They've been relatively consistent as a team this year at the line. It was just something you haven't seen the past couple of years, right? So I think the biggest storyline here is that this team has gotten to a point to when they are in this position, they're being able to put the game away. And I realize if we go back to that 19 overtime game that was early in the season where nobody could hit a shot to win the game, nobody could hit a free throw to win the game, but like it seemed like that was going on both sides, right? This team has grown a lot to this point, and I think if anything, it gives us something to look forward to next year, regardless of the outcome of the Big Ten tournament, because there will be a couple guys that leave. I don't know if McGowan's is going to leave for the NBA or not. He has every right to do so. We've had this conversation. I don't think he's going to be an early first round draft pick. If anything, he's going to be a late first round.
Yeah, you mean like you don't think lottery pick at least?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be a lottery pick at all. And I do think that he will spend some time in the D League because I don't think he's going to be an immediate starter. Because if he's going that late in the draft, he's going to a team like the Warriors or Phoenix or somebody down the line right there, right? So he's not going to be an immediate starter in the NBA. Would it be worth it to come back one more year and maybe build that stock to be a lottery pick?
Well, and this was not a discussion that we would even have 12 months ago, but today with NIL, and you think about it right now, NIL basically started July 1st or August 1st of last year, one of the two. So we're not through a full year cycle of NIL, meaning this is the first time that there are players in basketball. There are players that are going to start making decisions with NIL as a factor on whether or not do I make that jump or not. And you're still going to go and get yourself graded. I mean, I have no doubt, obviously, Bryce is going to get graded. And what if his grade comes back, to your point, 20th or 25th, in the first round? It's still first round. It's still first round money. But if there was an interest in coming back, and then this takes his brother wanting to be interested in coming back too. I mean, there's a lot of ifs here. And I would have given you a 0% chance 1 week ago that this would happen. But is there a chance with NIL being a factor and playing again with Trey and the way that the season is ending? I don't know. I said, we wanted to talk about the short term, and that's next week. And we kind of think, we think we can do a little bit of damage. Dave, let's look a little bit long term now. Let's get into the off season. We have a good recruiting class that's coming in, and there's probably going to be some changes that are going to happen, at least within some of the staff and everything. Obviously, Trev made the decision to retain Fred, but Fred has a plan that he's put together and told Trev about. So what is kind of some of your vision? What do you envision happening here over the off season and going into next year with the program?
It's $1 million. I guess the $18 million question.
There you go.
I mean, I would love. So we were talking about this a little before we came on. There's 4 guys that went through senior night that have a year. Well, no, I guess we're not counting Bryce. So 3 guys that went through senior night that have a year remaining to come back if they want. So that's Trey, that's Walker, that's McGowan's, and that's Lat. So all 4 of those guys have a year to come back to use if they wanted to. I guess I don't know if they do that, and assuming there's no other attrition, they don't have room for all 4 of them. So they all 4 can't come back. Or somebody else is going to have to leave, which is possible. That's not out of the realm either. So, I would love to see Derek Walker come back if that could happen. Like, I think you add him to Bryden back. If he can be healthy, and then the JUCO center recruit that they have coming in, Blaze. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Kada.
Yeah, we'll go with one of those 2.
Yeah,
it's probably neither. But
yeah, I'll be told too. Somebody
Right.
will tweet us afterwards and tell us exactly
Great. That
how to
help us out.
pronounce it. Yeah, it does.
And so, and he was, I don't know if he still is because he's had some injuries and stuff, but he was at one point the number one JUCO player in the country.
Okay.
So if you get those three as your front court core, I mean, that's a huge jump right there, I think, or potential to be a big jump. And then Wilcher's been shooting over 45% from three since they restarted Big Ten play. So since January 1st, basically since the Kansas State game.
Mm-hmm.
And then bringing in, so that, if you have, that's a really good core to build around. You have to answer the point guard question.
Yeah, because we're gonna lose Verge no matter what. We lose Webster no matter what.
No matter what.
Due to
their
eligibility's over.
And my understanding is McPherson and Ramel Lloyd, the two guards that are coming in, and Denham Dawson, I don't think any of those three are pure point guards. And so we have to get that. I think they're from what I understand, they're all really good players that can help the team. But I think we've seen as Verge has played well down this stretch here, the difference that makes in this offense on this team. So if they can find a point guard to address that need, I think that will be a huge piece of the puzzle. So get that figured out. I don't have any idea who that would be. I don't know if that's another recruit, a transfer, someone on the roster that I'm not aware of. And so if you can get that figured out, but you talk about Bryce and Trey, like I'm still skeptical that they'll return as much as I would love to see it happen. Sure. I just don't know how realistic that is. And so I'm not going to get my hopes pinned on that. But I think there's pieces that you can use as a foundation to start in a better place next year than you did this year, and keep what happened at the start of this year for the first 26 games from happening. So
one of the things that excites me, the guy you mentioned there, is Walker. Yeah. And with Walker, and Rob, I'll direct this to you because, I mean, you've been a huge fan of Walker all season, the entire time he's been here. And I've heard positive things that he would come back. He has like a trucking business, I believe, that he's, is on the side, and he wants to, have another year of school and NIL and everything, get that up and running and going. And so, I mean, he has career aspirations with that, which is great. He also seems at times that he's always kind of been out of position here. I mean, he'd be going against a guy always 5 inches taller than him and all that. And the possibilities of him maybe next year playing like at a 4 spot instead of a 5, or just at least having another big body with him out there. Sometimes in the Big Ten, we get out rebound. We did today. You go against some of these teams, Purdue and Wisconsin always seem to have a couple of dudes that are, up there in the 7-foot range. And so Rob, the idea of getting Walker back next year and having him back in a position where he maybe could be even more successful. I mean, do you see that as a 4? Do you see that him as staying at the 5? I mean, how would you like to see him best used?
Well, yeah, he's not going to be successful as a 5. That's I mean, he's out there playing his butt off with just getting the 9.6 rebounds a game that he's been getting right now. It would be nice to have a true center on this team that could open up. I mean, and I know it sounds funny, but to open up the middle of the court for him, right? Because every time he's down there, it feels like he's being double teamed by a guy his size and a guy, 6 inches taller, it feels like. And I think with a true center in there, even if the center's like pulling away out of the box and opening it up for Walker to get in there, because Walker bangs, man. He reminds me of like some of the old school like New York Knicks style forwards, right? And where he gets in there and he's banging with guys bigger than him, right? I mean, I don't want to go as far to say that he's the Draymond Green of this team, being able to take on guys bigger than him all the time with the defense and whatnot. But that's almost his role. He's a forward playing center, and like you just said, Honke, he's out of position. So it would be nice to see him be able to match up with somebody his own side on a consistent basis, because he's going to outstrength them every single time. So if he does choose to come back, that would just be a wonderful keep for this team. I love the kid. I like his grit. So what can I say? I mean, he defines what the Big Ten is all about in his style of play. And Hoiberg's style is not exactly a Big Ten style, but you still need to have some of those guys in there that can bang down underneath the basket. So, we'll hopefully he comes back.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, this was a rapid reaction, so let's keep it rapid. Guys, I'm just ecstatic. This was so much fun to get to see this team at least reach this level. This is, I think, Dave, you said beforehand that you kind of were hoping this is what you'd see in November.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least we got to see it in February or February and March, right? I mean, at least we finally got to see it. It was just, if nothing else, it was so confusing to be going through these 3 years, the vast majority of them, and the amount of losses. I mean, we know that Fred's a good coach. We know that he has a good pedigree as a coach there, and that the lack of success, despite the amount of talent that we have, it's just confusing. So it is good to see this at least come together now. And it does feel like it changes narratives and everything going into off season. It does change some of the trajectory. Because I mean, again, 7 days ago, right now at this moment, we haven't even played at Penn State yet. And I pretty much would have told you this is, we're going to lose the last 3 and limp into the tournament and just, lose out. Right. And to see what they've done, I can't believe it. This is one of the most shocking turnarounds. But I love what they're doing. So I'm going to give everyone kind of a chance to give your parting shot here and let me know your final thoughts on the season and everything and what we're going to still hope to expect to see this week. I'll start with you, Dave.
Yeah, I think I'm going to choose to live in the moment and enjoy these last 3 games and enjoy whatever basketball is left for these guys. I hope, I remember a couple of weeks ago, a well-known media member in the market said something like he couldn't see the path to success for Coach Hoiberg and what he's trying to do here. And I think this last week has shown us what it is. And my hope is that they can build, if they can get, I don't think they'll get everybody back, but if they can get a couple of key guys to come back that have some more experience or some more eligibility, like Rob was saying, Walker would be tops on my list as well. I think we have reason to be optimistic for the future, and I hope that happens, because that would be a really cool story to see them turn that around and become a winning, successful program. And so that's what I'm going to be cheering for and hope it happens.
Yeah, I was really happy to see, even though Bryce didn't get to play today, getting Wilcher out there in the starting position. I mean, he was already coming off. He was kind of the 6th man of the year, so to speak. But boy, down the stretch, he's played really well. And getting him to come back next year. I know our other Dave on the show, Dave out in Colorado, he has a buddy that's a big Xavier fan. Yeah. And that buddy a year ago was saying, man, Wilcher, watch out, man. This dude, he'll be a good player for you. And it looked like it just kind of took him a little bit of time this year to get going. But, man, by the end of the year and what you're seeing out of him now, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Rob, get us out of here.
All right, man. Well, I was having a great Twitter back and forth with a guy on Martin Berliner, I guess, the other day. And I tweeted out to him. And this was after Huskers beat Penn State for their 8th win of the season. And I said if the Husker Hoops were to win out, they would have 15 wins. That's win out through the tournament. They would have 15 wins, so a record of 15-21. That's a 41.6% win percentage. This would not be the worst win percentage for a team to make the tournament. So, again, they wouldn't even be the worst team to make the tournament. That distinction is held by FIU, UCF, and Fairfield, which had a 37.9% win percentage going into the NCAA tournament. And all 3 of those teams won their conference tournament with 8 regular season wins total to go into their conference tournament. So, you know what? It's been done before. It's actually been done quite a bit by teams with, 8, 9, 10 wins to go into their conference tournament, go in on a hot streak, and make it to the NCAA. None of those teams have won any of those games that they've played in the NCAA tournament, but crazier things have happened. So go Big Red.
Yeah, I have that clip from Major League in my head. Tom Berenger, just saying, "Win the whole bleeping thing." I mean, let's just, until this season's over. I love how they're finishing up. Let's just let's make it hell on every single team you play, and Huskers, and keep giving us a reason to turn on the TV each game here this week and make some noise. Who the heck knows? I mean, I feel like we're living on borrowed time with this team right now. Anyways, I never thought this would happen. So
what nobody knows, Honky, is that cutout that you have of me. That cutout that you have me behind you actually has little pieces you could peel off. And if he takes them all off, it'll be me in a bikini.
Oh boy.
So, yeah.
Oh boy.
That was my cutout from the Husker home games last year during COVID when no fans were allowed. So.
Awesome. Well, they're running with the hashtag why not us. So
why not
us? They're gonna let us play the games. Might as well.
For the record, Honky kisses me like that in person too, so it's not awkward at all.
Victory.
Okay, sounds like it's time to end.
Victory. That is time to end. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining us. Thank you, Rob, as always. We'll be back here actually tomorrow. I guess real quick while we're still on here, tomorrow we'll be talking with Brandon Vogel, managing editor at Hill Varsity, 2:00. Rob and I will be talking with him, and then we have another guest that we're going to be talking with on Wednesday. We'll talk about that during our regular Redcast, which I'm pretty sure we'll be doing one on Tuesday night. So, a lot going on right now, but this is an exciting time. There's good things ahead, Redcasters. I love Trev in charge, and I love seeing these programs starting to turn it around. Let's get a couple wins this week. The season's not over. Let's keep winning, fellas. But for now, let's call that another Go Big Redcast.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.